Welcome back to another episode of The Zone Presents. It's actually season 7. Congratulations. You're doing the first one for us, Justice. I got Justice Bruton out here all the way from, where are we now? Winter Haven?
Daytona.
Oh, Daytona. Daytona Beach, guys. Get ready. Here we go. Welcome back to another season of The Zone Presents. It's season 7. Season 7. We got Justice Bruton in studio today, all the way from Daytona Beach, Florida. What up, brother?
Doing good, man.
You ready?
Let's go.
Let's do it. All right, so I've known you for about 3 years now?
Yeah,
at least
probably
2.5,
right at 3 years, yeah.
We met in the Panhandle. You're running a team, doing really well out there. You've grown pretty fast. But before we get that far, let's hear a little about the Justice growing up. What was your foundation like? Tell me a little bit about your past.
Before here?
Yeah, before this spot.
I guess to give you a little bit. So I grew up in a small town called Jay, Florida. So it's about an hour north of Pensacola where we met. Really small country town. When I say it's just peanuts and cotton fields, like it's peanuts and cotton fields.
Oh, wow.
So my graduating class was 52 people. So I come from an area where if you kind of want to make something of your life besides just fall into the typical rat race that everybody from that small town does, you kind of have to venture out and look for something different.
Okay.
So going throughout high school, college was always my next step just because that's what everybody told me I was supposed to do. I feel like a lot of us have fallen into that pattern.
Oh, yeah.
So it took me 3.5 years of being in college to realize, I have nothing to do after this is over. So
Yeah.
I was working at a golf course for 2 years before I graduated college. Was sitting there one day on a rainy day. I'll never forget this day. Was sitting in the pro shop on a rainy day one day. Was scrolling down Indeed looking at job listings. Luckily, I knew I wanted to work in sales, but I didn't know a thing about solar. I didn't know a thing about sales in general. Just so happened to find 2 job listings. This was one of them that I applied for.
No
Got a phone call from Judd actually a couple days later, and long story short, was in an office running an interview about a week after that. And
Wait, so time out, because that was pretty fast. So we're in college. We're working at the golf course because
Yep.
you're a pretty good golfer. I will say that. I've seen him play pretty good. But what intrigued you about the ad? What really sparked your interest?
Honestly, it's a great question. I would say for me throughout high school, if there was anything that I kind of like put my reputation on, was competitive. Like I loved competition. If it was just like for most school spirit in high school, if it was, I played basketball year round, so if it was on the court, if it was on a golf course, regardless of what the thing was, like I didn't want to win, I wanted to make you lose. And so I've always been really, really competitive. And there were certain things in the job listing that was very like targeted. So anytime I see the word compete, anytime I see the word looking for people hungry for competition, so on and so forth, I remember that sticking out. And for me, both of the job listings did have that.
Yep.
Luckily, this is just the one that I got the phone call for. But
No, that's good. I mean, what you said there was actually intriguing. I never heard someone say, I want to make you lose. So it's kind of cool. Like, when did you get that mentality to like, I not only want to win, but I want that other person to lose?
That's a good question too. I don't know. I would say, so not to go too far back, but my parents got divorced when I was really young, and I always had a really good foundation growing up. But I had step siblings that were a lot older than me that were like, I was the person they took it out on, I guess you could say. So I guess at somewhat of a young age, I just kind of had that target of like, if there's anything I can do better than you, you're going to figure it out pretty quickly.
I like that.
And then getting into basketball, playing competitively, I was kind of always, I'm a shorter guy, I'm a smaller guy. I'm small now, let alone when I couldn't keep on weight when I was in high school.
He's jacked.
Yeah, something like that. But no, I guess I was kind of always like looked over. So anytime I knew I would be able to outshine somebody, like that's just something I took a lot of pride in because egotistical side of me, being a sales guy. I wanted you to, when you lose, I wanted you to know like you also lost to somebody that you didn't think could beat you.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I like that.
And so that was pretty much how I made it through high school, and then
chip on that shoulder.
If you've ever played golf, with me
I've
especially,
played with you.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, lost a little bit of money out there. But we won't get into that. It's another story. But that tells a lot about you, and it tells a lot about like your personality. Because I think always competitors in life, I think they just strive for more. And I think once you strive for more in life, like you tend to get more out of it.
Yeah,
right?
no, I agree.
So now we're here. We're at Lumio. We have our first day. Tell me what the first day is like.
So I get called in for the interview.
Yeah.
I walk into an office. I had to go right after working at the golf course. So
Okay.
I shot across town, made it in for the interview, met Justin Douglas at the time. And I walk into this office, and it's like all blacked out on the windows and everything like that. And I walk in, I have zero expectations.
Yeah.
Don't know what to expect at all.
Perfect.
There's a foosball table and a ping pong table set up. There's like 3 guys haphazardly playing ping pong over there. A couple dudes playing. It's just loud as all get out.
Yeah.
It's music blaring.
Yeah.
And the second I stepped in, I was like, oh, I fit here. Like this is for me.
Yes.
And
right?
luckily the interview went pretty good. I got to talk to a couple people after the interview and try and meet a couple people on the team. Yeah. And I don't remember exactly, but I know within the next few days I was in for starting my first day.
Awesome.
Funny story for you. My first full day was on a Saturday.
Oh wow.
In the pouring rain. Didn't learn a pitch yet. Didn't do anything. We meet for breakfast as a team. We break off, and my area was literally right across the street. And for 2 hours in the pouring rain, because I didn't know any better, had an umbrella, just talking to people about, hey, do you want solar?
Just
no, okay.
Neighborhood, or?
Do you want solar? Yeah, that was my first full day.
You were
no
knocking?
pitch.
You were just like,
no, I was knocking.
Oh, okay.
No pitch at all.
Yeah.
Literally just, hey, we do solar. Do you want that?
Yeah,
Do you want that?
Sounds like my start.
Yeah. We learned. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Like, make a lot of friends. I'm like, cool, made a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Didn't make much money.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
that is interesting, especially a Saturday pouring rain. I mean, the challenges are obviously right in front of your face. And
Yeah.
hey, you still went out there and kicked the pavement a little bit. So
I think there was a lot of value, and I didn't know any better. So
Yeah.
I just did the thing I was told to do, and it definitely paid off.
I think it's honestly the best way sometimes to go into it. Sometimes when you have all the information, it's like, a confused mind always says no,
Yep.
or retreats. So it's really cool. So then let's talk about your first week or your first sale. Get into that. What was that like?
So for me, I think there's actually a lesson that could be found in this. For me, it took me until my 5th week to get my first deal.
Wow.
So a lot of the abilities I feel like I have are somewhat natural for sales, but
Yeah.
I'm not a natural.
Late bloomer.
at this.
You hear that, guys?
Yeah.
Late bloomer.
Yeah.
And
not
been
a
crushing it
natural
here
at
for
this.
3 years.
I would say for me, and the lesson I think that can be found is I tried doing both jobs for over a month.
Okay.
So I was still working at the golf course. I was also in my last semester of college, so I was trying to
balance the whole thing.
Yeah, trying to juggle 3 things at one time. So for the first month, my schedule was literally me working at the golf course from 6 to 12. I would drive across town, get to the meetings by 1 o'clock, and then we'd work, because I started about this time of year.
Yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't necessarily that the job was difficult. It's just, how it is. It's the little things make the biggest differences in the world. And so my energy was being focused in other areas. And the second that I kind of had looked myself in the mirror, and I won't get into all that story, but the second I kind of looked myself in the mirror and I was like, I'm either going to do this or I'm not. And I made the decision, put in my 2 weeks at the golf course that day. And it's almost literally like the story
I do want to talk
is
about
crazy.
it. I know you didn't want to, but what kind of conversation we have in that mirror? Because I think a lot of us go through this in life, and not just this job, but in life, where you're like, hey, I'm at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Opportunity knocks sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Cliche to say. But what really not only intrigued you, but what really made you decide that this is what you were going to do?
Honestly, obviously what we do is difficult. It's not hard, but it is difficult.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where we had a couple guys on the team that were having a lot of success. And we had a smaller team at the time, probably 12 or 15 guys. And it was honestly just that part of me that was looking around after a month going, if these guys can do it, I know I can do it.
Yep.
And so even though I was having a hard time and I wasn't really figuring it out yet, there was never this doubt of like, can I do it? It was just, am I willing to do it?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what that conversation was. It was just like, I know you're able to do this, but you can't keep trying to do multiple things at the same time. It's like where energy goes, where focus goes, energy flows. So I really just tried to narrow it down, and obviously this is a way greater opportunity than pretty much anything else, let alone working at a golf course, right? So I kind of had that harsh reality with myself, and the timing was right when I was finishing up college, so I put in my 2 weeks right when I was done, and then when we started the new year in 2021, this was everything that I did, and we kind of took off from there.
I mean, I tell people all the time, it's one of those things, in recruiting and in training, it's like you have to burn the ships, so to speak. Or even like, Arnold Schwarzenegger says, I didn't have a plan B because it deviates from plan A. And so I think, what you did there was an aha moment, so to speak, in your career, in your life. And obviously it's paid off dividends. You're rocking a Rolex, not to call it out, but you don't rock a Rolex at the golf course, minimum wage, you know what I mean? Unless you're a really good stick, which you are, but I don't think you're paying for, $20,000 a round.
I know how to make it look like I'm not too good. I know how to hustle a little bit.
No, I know. I mean, you've done phenomenal. We wouldn't have you out here sharing your story if you haven't, and your story is fantastic. I mean, you got into this entry level, you worked yourself up, got into management. Now you're obviously one of the top closers in the company, and it says a lot about your character because you're a competitor, right? And I think that's what's really driven you. But I think a lot of times what you said here today that I think a lot of people do go through is like they look around the room and they measure the room, just like I think a lot of people do in life, and they're like, if he can, why can't I? If she can, why can't I?
Yep.
And what it does say is, he too can't do it. He who says he can and cannot are most usually right.
Yep.
So I really like that and your story about that. Now, I do want to take a little bit step further because, we've done really well. We're in year 3 now for you at this point. What's on the horizon? What's our 6-month, our 12-month goal right now?
It's a great question. For me, it's a little bit different. So if you obviously know me a little bit better than most people do. There's been a lot of ups and downs in the 3 years that I've been here, and I'm blessed for every single one of them. I've learned
solar coaster, baby.
Absolutely,
It's real.
absolutely. I've learned more than I could have ever imagined. I'm super grateful for that. For me, honestly, it's just trying to be present.
Yeah.
So Taylor, obviously, he's had a huge impact on my life. And probably the best piece of advice he's ever given me was just be where your feet are. Earlier on, I used to have a big problem about being so worried about what was 6 months, 12 months down the road that it actually really hindered the way I was performing on a daily basis.
Okay.
So to be honest with you, at the stage I'm at now, I have a general idea of within the next 6 to 12 months, I'd like to break off an office from where we're at and just grow the typical route that we all know.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to learn from my mistakes in the past of when I make that my sole focus, I tend to not give the people around me the energy and the love that they deserve. So I'm really just trying to be present on the day-to-day basis of what we're doing right now, and then have complete trust with the people around me that what I want in the end is gonna come.
Well said, well said. You know, sometimes I think we get inundated with the day-to-day in leadership because leadership is selfless. It literally takes up your entire time. We used to say it all the time, it's like, this isn't a job, this isn't an hourly thing, this is a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
You know, it's sun up to pass out. You know, especially in leadership, you know, not to call people out like that aren't in leadership, like it is your life, this job, and it does take a lot of your time, but it also gives you a lot of balance, a lot of freedom, you know.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what a lot of us strive for in life. And I was listening to a podcast, I didn't think I was gonna bring this up, but they were talking a lot about like, you know, you need to focus on the three main things that get you energy and excitement in a day-to-day. And I think, you know, just talking to you today, it's like you need a competitive atmosphere, you like the culture, and you wanted to make good money, and you bet yourself.
Yeah.
And so you're a true testament of what we're looking for and why you've grown and why you've done well in this company. And obviously for people looking at home, like this is exactly what you can be, what you can do. And so I want to leave with this. What are you reading? What are you focused on? How are you self-developing or working on your personal development daily?
So for self-development side, really the main reason I love this job, there's a lot of financial benefits that we can get, obviously. That's probably what attracts a lot of us from the beginning. But if you've been here for 6 months to a year, that's probably not what's going to keep you.
Yeah.
Like it's all the other aspects of the job, the relationships that you can build and so on and so forth. So for me, there's really 4 areas of life, and anybody that's talked to Judd or had Judd run a training, we've all heard this before. But there's really 4 areas of life that for me I've found in the hardest times of my life, it's when I'm really not giving enough attention to one of those areas. So from a self-development perspective, every single day just trying to check in on those 4 areas of life for me and making sure, hey, did I do something today?
What are those 4?
So health, wealth, love, and happiness. Judd defines them a little bit differently, but for me it's a little bit more catchier. So health, wealth, love, and happiness. So for me, I think we're all extremely blessed to have a group of people that we work with, develop relationships that a ton of people would die to have, right? So we're extremely grateful for that, but I think we take it for granted sometimes and not actually investing and flourishing those relationships. And the beautiful part about what we do, a little bit goes a long ways.
Oh, yeah.
So like just a little check-in with somebody sometimes I think really can make the world of a difference. So just trying to do little things in each of those 4 areas every single day, regardless of if I'm not feeling like going to the gym that day, getting in for 30 minutes and just getting something done so that I can mentally check that box off in my life knowing, hey, I did something today when I didn't want to. And that type of mentality on every single facet of life.
I think it keeps you consistent, you know. Your
Absolutely.
schedule will keep you consistent because this just happens in life. It's just, we call it the solar coaster because it rhymes, but the reality is life throws curveballs at you, you know.
Absolutely.
So you go up and down. But obviously you've been trending and always going up, brother, in your life. And so
We're trying, man.
we appreciate having you on here today. Any shout outs to the people at home you want to let know?
A couple. If you know me, I love my dog, so shout out Teddy. No, the other one, for real, Taylor's been a huge impact on my life. He does a really good job of a great balance of keeping people in their place, but also making you feel loved like nobody else does. So with where I'm at right now and the things that I've gone through, if it wasn't for Taylor, I probably wouldn't be where I am. So thank you, Taylor. I appreciate everything you've done.
Shout out TB. Anybody else? Any family members? Anything at home?
The Pops.
They'll
That's
watch
probably where a part of where I got the competitive spirit from.
Good.
My Pops is a little competitive, so
Shout out
to the Pops.
Mr. Brew. Yeah. You made this foundation strong. Well,
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, thanks for getting on the show today.
Absolutely, man.
We appreciate
Absolutely.
you. All right, boys and girls, here are your top offices of last week. In the 5th spot, we got Port St. Lucie with 7, Palm Bay with 7, and the Daytona Dogs with 7. In 4th place, we got Venice with 10. In 3rd place, we got Bonita Springs with 13. In 2nd place with 15, Winter Haven. And in 1st place with 21, Orlando 2. Nice job there, boys and girls. Nice job, C Freeze. And Blake, you boys are crushing it. Keep it up. All right, boys and girls, here are your top setters from last week. All right. With 2, we got a few of you. Anthony Dillingham, Austin Chapman, Mia Ortiz, Elizabeth Harris, and Austin Van Krevlin. Nice job. In 3rd place with 3, Jariah Henry and Brooklyn Coulter. Nice job. In 2nd place with 4, we have Tristan Cooper Berth and Nicholas Budd. And in the top spot with 7, just absolutely dominating last week, we have Daniel Larson with 7 deals. Excellent job, Daniel. Excellent job to all you guys and girls on the list. If you're not on the list, let's go. Get on it this week. Here are your top closers from last week. All right, boys and girls. In 5th place, we got John Scappin, Cameron Thompson, Kaysen Snyder, Francois Melhot, all with 3 deals. With 4 deals, Miss Sage Eldridge. With 5 deals in 2nd place, we got Robert Fallon, Dylan Days, Micah Mullins, and Colby Free, all with 5 deals. In the top spot, Lone Soldier, out of Orlando, to Jakari Brown. Let's go, Jakari. Nice work, bro. Everybody on this list, great job. Get on the list. Let's go.